I'm in 2 episodes of fucking playing Clash Royale to start off an episode.
Like, every time we start, it's just another video game.
Hey, bro, it's the best way to kill 3 minutes at a time. Actually, they can go up to like 6 minutes overtime if you get high enough.
Dude, what's like your favorite games to play to just kill time?
Clash Royale. I've been playing that since. I've been playing the game for like 6 years now, maybe. Like on my phone. I would like calculate. Like I tried to calculate it because based off like my wins and losses. You broke the chair?
Ah, that's okay.
Okay. And so basically it comes out to like a month of playing time across like 3 to 6 minute games.
You're dedicated.
It's only over like 6 years, 7 years of playing it, so maybe it's not that bad. But that's like the quickest way to kill time mobile. But like Apex, Zone, like Warzone, all those games. How about you?
On mobile? Cause I was talking about like mobile specifically. Like,
mobile? Yeah, mobile for sure.
Like Cut the Rope was one that I spent like hours on, just like turning up a bit and like
Or like all those moms that are like ranked top of the nation for Candy Crush.
Oh my god.
They just grind Candy Crush.
Or what's it called? I spent so many hours on the surgeon simulator on the phone, which is such an aggravating experience.
Oh, is that like when you grab, like, you're using like the weird cursor hands to grab shit, and you just end up cutting this guy open, like gutting him?
More or less, yeah. I remember playing it co-op with a friend, and basically what it meant is he controlled the hand, like the actual movement, while I control the fingers. And it doesn't sound like it would leave a lot of room for chaos, but when he's trying to grab like a scalpel and I end up grabbing like the fucking machete, it makes a difference in the operation, you know. But yeah, that was one that I spent a lot of time on. Plague Inc. Just naming your plagues after just stupid shit and just see like
everyone's catching Ligma.
Ligma has eradicated humanity. Ligma has made.
I was always so bad at those games because I just was always interested in. I was like, how deadly can we make this thing? And then it just never spread because like somebody in Finland survived or whatever, or a fucking country.
Greenland.
Yeah, it was always ridiculous. I was like, okay, fine. And so I killed my host too quick. And people are like, nah, it's all about like transmissibility, and then you get everybody sicker. And I was like, oh, so you hit like a kill switch? It's kind of morbid now. How funny is it that we all grew up playing like that, like mini clip games or whatever, like all those Flash Player games that no longer exist because Flash Player is disabled.
There's so many fun ones.
Yeah.
What's it called? The snowboarding one.
Yeah. Bubble tanks. You ever played Bubble Tanks?
I don't think so. No, wait, is it
It's when your little bubble. It starts off as a bubble, and then you like consume like little other bubbles, and you grow into like this small tank that shoots bubbles at people, and you fight other tanks that shoot bubbles at you, and eventually like you can build like these. After consuming so many bubbles, it's so fucking stupid. I'm talking about this now, but you consume so many bubbles, you get these giant tanks, and they just blast out like 40 different kinds of bubbles. It sounds so dumb, which technically it is, I guess. It is great. The amount of hours I've killed on that game versus like the final bubble boss.
I mean, games like that,
or like Commando, like all those games were so good.
Commando was the shit.
Commando might have been middle school.
During middle school, I would just like be in class instead of doing work. I'd just be like, it's so fucking cool.
Commando was great. That game was so cool because it was inspired by like all like those 80s games.
Like also like 80s characters like Rambo and shit.
Yeah, you ever play Thing? That one?
Thing?
Yeah, like Thing Arena and those.
I don't think I did.
It was just like you were these dolls, like basically faceless like dolls, and you guys were like whatever. Some people like mohawks and shit, and you basically just pick up like guns and just brutal violence against each other. You can like shank each other, and you get through levels, and it's like got animation in between, so it's like a storyline. It was actually like surprisingly really well made, and there's like lore to it, but it's a little crazy. I actually haven't seen those videos in so long. These are videos I'm thinking probably from like 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Just imagine living to see the transformation of the video game industry from how it was versus what it is now.
Yeah, man. For us, I mean, we've always had console. Think about the people that saw video games go from arcade to your home. That's fucking crazy.
Also, what's it called?
And to the level of immersion we've gotten now, like graphics have always been good, you know. obviously, if we go back to like a 2005 game, we're gonna be like, wow, like video games have aged. But those graphics were always like decent enough where like, you can immerse yourself into the game. And now we have ray tracing, where it's just like basically like a program just replicates all the light infinitely.
All the shadows, all the little things.
It's not like everything's drawn. It's replicated through the program. It's so cool.
I don't know. On one hand, I really like photorealistic video gaming that gets you immersed in it because of it. But I also really like the more stylized, what the fuck is going on kind of video games. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, the way I see it is just the capabilities of games have grown more. I still like individual styles, like Borderlands. Like Borderlands 1 was so good. Just like the comic book style, it was just like all grays and stuff. Like you just felt like you were in like a wasteland. And then like 2 were like, you know, at the end of Borderlands 1, you trigger an event, and then the direct sequels after the event, and the planet that was a wasteland is now like a lush paradise. And it was like all color, but it's still like the thick lines and everything like that, and all like the comedic stuff. DLC for that? Did you ever play it, Tiny Tina's?
Yeah, I played all the DLCs. They
What was it?
fucking
Tiny Tina's
smacked.
Dungeon and Dragons, I think?
Yeah,
or
Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep.
That is.
It fucks.
That-
It's so cool.
That was one of the best DLCs I've ever played.
Dude,
I
it's-
played all of them because I had like the deluxe package, but
They
that
literally
one...
said, let's put dark fantasy and guns together and made it work phenomenally.
Yeah, and you actually see Bud Stallion.
Like, Bud Stallion! Bud Stallion!
Yeah, and it's real. It's great. And then you fight skeletons and shit. You fight dragons, mages.
Rah.
It actually was perfect. That's what I'm saying. I can't believe they blended it. And then it ties into Tina's storyline.
And then it ties emotionally into the actual thing. It was...
that Roland's dead.
Oh my god. Dude, like, no matter how many times I was playing that video game, every time I got to the bunker and I would just one-man army all the fucking things, you know, just, like, tearing through that map. And then, like, I know what's about to happen. And
I
it's
know,
like,
it's tough.
But you know what's really funny? You know that if you activate your ability during a cutscene, you can see it played in the background?
Oh, really?
So,
I didn't know that.
I know, and once I discovered it, I had so much fun with it because like I would know
I played that through so many times.
this is
and
where
didn't know that.
Handsome Jack spawns, right? I know this is exactly where Handsome Jack spawns. So before I accept the mission that leads into the cutscene, when I was playing
Oh, so you do the ability and then you start the cutscene?
yeah, like when I was playing Axton, for example, I just threw down my turret and then activated it, and the turret is just in the background just spinning. And in that moment, Handsome Jack materializes there.
Oh, I had zero
and the
stuff.
gun is just sticking out of him. Like, he just has, like, a giant gun penis.
Oh, really? Oh, so it's just like...
Yeah.
Oh,
like, I
wow.
made that happen. I made it work. And that was the only time that I was able to, like, nail that particular cutscene in that way. But, yeah, next time if you play the video game, like, you will see that it just appears in the background. Like, I have, I activate 0 skill, and you have, like, a panning out of the entire map or like the boss fight, and you just see the 0 hologram just like in the background.
Oh,
You're like,
really?
yeah, it's a funny little bug.
I only ever played 0. I went through the story a few times. Borderlands 2 was great. And
Who was
then
your main?
0 is my main. I never actually... the only other character I think I played was the Mechromancer.
Oh, Maya, the Siren?
Yeah.
No. The Mechromancer's Gage.
Gage, yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
That show's broken. Like the level of damage Deathclaw could do. Did you ever play the third one? Because there's like in between. There's like Borderlands 3, I think. Did Borderlands 3 get released?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a year or two ago.
The pre-sequel, you mean?
Pre-sequel came out.
And then 3.
Yeah, and then 3 came out
Is the
afterwards.
pre-sequel the one you're talking about just now?
Both.
Yeah,
Like, the
I think-
pre-sequel and 3. How was the pre-sequel? Because I heard it was like decent.
Here's the thing. It had really fun game mechanics. It had like space shit. It had like gravity slam. It had a bunch of different types of vehicles. It had very unique enemies as always. The art style was really cool, and you got to see like different aspects of like the actual moon that you didn't get to see, and like all that. But in terms of like comparing it to Borderlands 2, which is by far still my favorite to this day, even with Borderlands 3 releasing.
Yeah.
Like, Borderlands 2 is the magnum opus of this entire IP so far.
Borderlands 1 was really fun.
Borderlands 1 is
The DLC was
is a
Sanctuary?
phenomenal, strong, like...
Was that the name of it? The DLC, no, something's Keep. The general, the name of the general.
Not Nox.
No, yeah.
It was Nox? General Nox, something
General
like that.
Knox, yeah.
Yeah,
Or the Vault of General Knox, something like that.
something like that,
That was
yeah.
the best, dude. You go through like this whole crazy thing. You discover a whole new vehicle. That was a really great arc. It's a really good DLC. There's a few. There's a warm one in Borderlands 2 when you have like the sailboats.
Dude, the fucking pirate one.
Yeah.
That was like what I love, especially with Zero, is because he was also my main.
Yeah,
I would
sniped and had a pistol.
I would
That's all
adapt my fighting style to each of these DLCs according to how I think this character would play, like my headcanon, right? So like when he what's it called?
Can you explain a headcanon?
Yeah. It's within a story. You have, especially in a video game, if you're playing something and you create like a little scenario, like the headcanon is, like for me, this is part of the story, even if the story itself doesn't mention it. It's a flimsy explanation at best right now, but for me, for example, whenever I play Zero, and I'm just like, super cool assassin, I add a lot into it for me personally. For example, like I had my own side mission that's not even an objective in the game.
Oh, well, so like you just do it with style?
Yeah, like I would make it extra hard for myself. Like Hammerlock's DLC with these really like big golden guns, like the Rex golden pistol and the elephant gun.
The elephant gun, yeah.
Like that.
The elephant gun was pretty freaking cool.
It's so fucking cool. It's just a really big golden sniper without a scope, but it zooms in tremendously. And I got the fucking
that gun did so much damage.
I got the make face shooty achievement from the top of the map with that gun that doesn't have a scope. It took me so much because like I would aim and shoot and it would say, like I hit him in the arm or something, and then I'm like, fuck,
you did a headshot.
and then I go and then like I reload it because I want to get it one and done, and I like, it's so far. It is so far from like the point of the bunker, like before you really like get in into the next level, and all down there with this fucking sniper, and like, it would be like my headcanon that I'm just like the best sniper in all of Borderlands. Like wearing all black, wearing the nihilism head, like just like a big Zero, and just being like.
I used to rock the Minecraft head.
That's a fun one for
I remember finding that. I found that one by myself too, which I was so proud of, because Borderlands, like, you can.
That little Easter egg is so fucking fun.
Well, dude, yeah, because you just find like a creeper comes out of you. I was like, what the fuck's going on? And then I rocked that for a long time, and then eventually I switched to like a cooler one.
And again, like these are Easter eggs and shit that like again further just show up fucking cool Borderlands 2 as.
Yeah. I'm big on probably like my favorite game currently. God of War is really good, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. But Ghost of Tsushima is probably my favorite game right now.
I haven't played it, but just from seeing like the gameplay and all that shit,
it is great. So it takes place like in the island Tsushima, which is like an actual region in Japan, as they get in like I think like 15th or 16th century, whatever. So it's in the year 1400, 1500. I think 1500. The Mongols invade. And they just like take over, and like you play this mission, tragedy happens, all that, and now like you're a samurai that's like going rogue and just like trying to fight them like in guerrilla warfare type style.
I fucking love guerrilla warfare games.
God. It's the name of the character is Jin Sakai, and the art and the side missions and like the way everything does, it's really inspired by I was about to say Urasawa.
Sekiro?
No, not Sekiro. Kurosawa, thank you. Yeah, so there's actually a game mode called Kurosawa mode, so you can play on black and white with like the grain of like a 60s or like a 50s movie.
That's so
And like the missions start with like you hear like the bamboo or whatever, that clack 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 clack. and then just you see a big kanji with revenge, and that's the start of the mission.
Right.
It's all inspired by how he used to do things and the dramatic pacing in the story. It just feels, I was like surprised because I think, can you look up the studio? I think it's CD Projekt Red or Project CD Red.
Yeah, they made a lot of big
the
ones.
studio that made them. I could be off on that, but I think they're like European based, and the fact that they captured the game like that, and I'm sure there's a bunch of Japanese talent or at least consultation into it. But
Yeah,
your
it is
character,
CD
to unlock
Projekt.
cosmetics, you like record a haiku as you like look into this distance. It's really dope. It
Is
was
it Sony?
one of the few times I've been really immersed into a game. And I played this over like months. I didn't like marathon it. I just took my time.
What's it called? Ah, fuck.
Yeah, the game is a Sony exclusive, but it's not made by actually Sony. It was a game studio.
I'm trying to think which
look this
which video games had gotten me like truly immersed.
Mm-hmm.
We covered how much Borderlands basically did that. I spent hundreds of hours in that one. What are you looking for?
Nah, I was just looking for my phone. I was gonna look up that studio. It's gonna fuck with me. I'm gonna find this shit. Keep it going though.
Yeah, Borderlands definitely up there. Minecraft is a classic one for a lot of people.
It never caught me.
Like never even like when you were younger.
No.
What's it called? I would create these elaborate villages like in creative mode. I would create like these big villages next to like a mansion on an island that I would create that I would turn into a secret base that goes down hundreds of floors of tunnels.
Yeah, they're a Polish video game studio, by the way. They made Ghost of
Their headquarters in Warsaw.
Yeah, they made Ghost of Tsushima.
Damn,
I'm like 95% certain.
that's cool.
Okay.
But
There was a
But
lot
yeah.
of Japanese talent in that video game, but
man,
Point still stands.
I literally want to go to Japan for a few years and live there, specifically to be able to get in contact with and build relations with animation studios.
yeah, I mean that's probably something. I think that's something you can still do here in the U.S. I think there's
Definitely,
enough
but-
industry presence here. At least on the
But-
U.S. side, and eventually you cross over to the Japanese side.
They're
I would
catching
have
up
to learn
to it.
Japanese before I got to them.
I'll do the same. Like, yeah, I
Where would
went
you
over
stay
it.
in?
Like, I don't know, probably Tokyo.
Yeah, I think so. It probably makes sense. At that
Like,
point.
if I wanted to have like a few years of just tranquility and meditation, I just go to like some like temple, like Shaolin
just go
temple
live
and some
it.
shit.
Just go live at fucking Okinawa in the Blue Zone.
Yo, let's go podcast in Okinawa.
It's unbelievable how long the people there live.
They Okinawa and the Greek island of Ikaria have similar
I think
life
there's- I think
expectancies.
there's one more place. I think it might be in California, or I think the other place might be somewhere in the U.S. I could be wrong, but like the Blue Zone's like I think it. A Blue Zone, isn't it when the average life expectancy crosses 70 years old of a region?
Is it?
There's a certain level to it. You have Blue Zone.
I looked up Warsaw. Yeah, are home to some of the oldest and healthiest people in the world that often surpass global life expectancy of 71.4 years. I mean, dude, when you think of the fact that humans would basically
Okay.
be dead by the time they're 30s or 40s
Dude, like
for
an old
most of
king.
history.
An old king was 50 years old. Like he was an ancient man. Think about how healthy 50-year-olds are now.
Dude, my
If you have the
father who's
resources
like,
to keep
my
yourself
father
healthy.
who's like 60 something.
Dude, your pops is young looking.
He's 60 something. He goes to the doctor and they're like, all right, like what do you eat, what do you do this, what do you do that, and he tells them like Greek diet, like fish food, this, like the healthiest shit.
That's probably like, yeah,
And
man.
they're doing like a checkup and they're like, what the fuck, like why are you like a 30-year-old, why are you like a 40-year-old is what they said to him, like basically.
Damn, he must have skipped out of that fucking appointment.
Dude, like it's what I'm saying, like if you have a lifestyle that promotes like healthy shit that then like gives you a larger life expectancy, like it's you become
Just think about how little fast food we eat. The only reason why, I mean, the only thing I eat that I would consider like food that's not made at home is like my family's restaurant. But I know how we make our food, and I can eat that every day, and I eat off our menu every day, and I'm not fat. I just know what to eat, so I eat healthy. But like my nana's cooking, I'm not gonna lie, when it's like goulash and you have like half a loaf of bread and there's like cheese and olives, I'm like, how much cholesterol am I really consuming right now? I was like, I don't know. But for one meal a day, it's good for the soul.
Meanwhile, in Greece, we got
There's always a salad. We eat healthy by my standards, I think.
like, what's it called? I haven't had much like Albanian cuisine.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're getting off
I've
to
had
Europe
Greek,
soon, so
I've had
no time.
Turkish, I've had like other types, but like I don't know.
Like grosh is like a bean soup.
Ooh.
That we make, baklava for you guys. We make it a different style. Like the Greeks do it like really thin, sliced on the wafer basically, and then it's dry.
Thick baklava.
We do it like a lot of syrup, a lot of crushed nut underneath. Man, it takes like 2 days to make, but when my nonna makes it, just in the pan, oh dude, lose my mind. 1 year, oh she literally was like, we'd like hold her from jumping off a ledge. She accidentally left it in the oven too hot, and the top layer toasted too much and like torched, and it set up the fire alarm. And she was like, I've never seen my nonna look so upset with herself. And we were just like, dude, I was like, for every year of my life, she's never had a problem. I was like, no, I was like, it's okay, it happens. I felt so bad.
Oh, man.
She was like, I let everybody down. She was like, I'm a fucking failure. I was like, this is how serious she takes it.
Right, it's like...
But her cooking is like, I don't know.
Balkan grandmothers, when they really want to take care of their families and they're like cooking a lot of food. Like my grandmother, she doesn't let people in the kitchen when other people, like when she's making food for other people. Like on my mom's side, I go in there and I'm like, hey grandma, like you need some help? She's like, thanks up. And just comes out like a whole fucking lamb, like all these fries, all these salads, all these sides. And dude, like it inspired me to like become a cook. And did you see the video that I posted of like me celebrating in New York with some friends of like making Greek food?
Yeah.
I made a whole like big fucking tray of spanakopita, like more than 40 pieces, which with the way that I had cut it up. Mm-hmm. I made 2 spiral cheese pies. I went to the Greek part of town in New York and I just got like a fucking kilo of different assorted Greek cheeses.
What was the spread?
It was what's it called? Graviera and kefalodiri. I have no idea how to describe it, but I think one of them is goat, the other one is
like more of a feta?
No, it's more like a Parmesan, like a little bit more like softer cheese.
Okay. Yeah, we got a lot of goat made cheese by me too.
But yeah, like it took me like a half hour to just grate an entire thing into nothingness because it doesn't come grated. But yeah, and you just roll it up in phyllo, you put it around and around and put some butter on it. Yeah. And here's the thing. It was a group effort. I had like my friends come in and like they would also do it, and a few of them would accidentally get some cuts in here and there, right?
With the fingers?
No, like they would cut the phyllo like a little bit, and I'd be like, don't worry about it, because the thing about this cheese pie is that once you put it in the oven, everything melts and just that. But what I didn't expect is I put so much cheese in there it boiled up and formed this beautiful like cheese crust.
Oh, like it formed a layer?
Like in between like some of the top layers. And dude, like
it inflated?
Yeah, it inflated and it had like this really nice like golden cheese crust.
You made like Greek quesadillas, bro.
Basically. And dude, like I'm just cutting into it, just like taking it out, like cheese dripping everywhere, and my friends are just like combing their pans. They're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And so we had that spinach pie. I had 2 of these. My mom had made some meatballs as well.
Cheese!
Oh my god.
I'm Mr. Among Us.
Meatballs! And I made my specialty lamb carré marinated in red wine and olive oil for like 3 nights. Dude,
Damn, bro,
I just
you went out.
I went all
Where'd you
out.
cook this? Is it a dorm?
Yeah. I literally fucking cooked this, like, I prepared all of it within the confines of my desk, and all I did was just put him in the oven later on. You know?
Question, where'd you store this? Do you have like a
Fridge.
full-size fridge?
No, I was, like, small. I'm just really good at Tetris.
That's fucking lavish, Adri.
But yeah, yeah, and it
Holy
was...
shit.
And it's just, it's so nice. Like, I enjoy eating good food, of course, but something about making food and sharing it with people and having like a
No,
fucking
there's something
blast.
nice.
Like we were like, we killed 3 bottles of Greek wine, like the 10 of us basically. And like, you know, like I'm accidentally like spilling wine onto people. I'm like, oh my bad, because I'm just fucking gone, right? I also had a, what's it called? I have a Dionysian cup, like those old things that Greeks would actually drink from, but it has a representation of Dionysus surrounded by dolphins, which were pirates that he turned into dolphins, and he's like lounging back on this chair, and the mast of the ship is turning into wine and grapes.
Yeah.
Right? And I have that, and I brought it there specifically to just drink off of that. I would just fill out basically the plate and just drink from the bowl. It's one of my favorite ways of consuming wine. Because, like...
Is there special wine supposed to drink with it?
Not really. Like, the way that the Greeks did it is they would mix red wine and and dilute it with some kind of water. But I just put, like,
yeah,
just
I mean, they
normal
made their
wine in
shit
it.
potent back then, though, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Their wine was, like, a different... Like, was it not a higher alcohol content than wine now?
Maybe. Because the Greeks for sure have had a long history of wine, considering they literally have a fucking god after it.
True.
He's not just the god of wine. Dionysus is so much more. He's, I think, one of the coolest gods ever.
Yeah? What was his thing besides the...
Because here's the thing. He is a god born from humanity and from godhood. He was first carried by a mortal woman who Zeus, being a piece of shit, struck with lightning, and he took the fetus of him, stitched it, and Zeus stitched him into his thigh, I think, and then Dionysus was born again. And that's like his the significance of his name. Dionysus means like twice born. He's a man that was born twice, once from human, once from God. And because of it, he is constantly in this existential little plane, wandering and figuring out humanity. And he is the god most close to humans. Like, most other gods are representations of natural forces. You know, Poseidon represents this sea, just taking everything, violent, like mysterious, all of that shit. Zeus is just lightning and the power of that. Dionysus quite literally represents humanity and the extremes that we can go to, because his transforming of things into wine, for example, is similar to how wine transforms a human. How when a human consumes wine, some things like get a bit looser and he transforms essentially into something else.
Okay.
And that becomes a lot more relevant when you start talking about like Dionysian theater rituals, because if you know, in ancient Greece, going to the theater was mandatory. It was basically like everyone had to go there and witness this shit.
Okay.
And these festivals were basically created in honor of this god of wine, this god of madness, this god of expression, of transformation. And so yeah, like that's what I'm saying, like he's the god most closest to humans, because almost every other god, they basically truly like feared as a force of nature.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have like Hades, all that kind of stuff. The story of Persephone.
Yeah.
Zeus just destroying everything. Poseidon, I know.
And here, like,
thanks for the Greek lore. That was all.
Oh yeah. Again, like he's one of my favorite Greek gods, and I just get really passionate when I talk about him. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of cool
I mean, dude, can you blame them for thinking that way? Imagine not having any science and then you saw like a water spout, just a tornado made of water. Just come on. How would you explain that to another guy?
I actually
You'd be like, Spiros, like, what's going on here? It's like, I don't fucking know. It's like, must be Poseidon acting up.
for high school when we had to read the Odyssey. For me, I had
Did
to
you read it in Greek or did you read it?
I read it in 4 languages.
Really?
Like by the time I got to read it in English for high school, that was my 4th.
Oh wow.
So I've read it like when I was like a kid, basically. And basically what I did for my project for this class is I would read again through, take note of these different myths that he encountered, the Cyclops, the Scylla Charybdis, like those two like the cliff and the water spout, basically all these different mythological creatures. And I went back and traced the roots of why they came to be in the first place. And I have this book, it's downstairs in the basement somewhere, that basically describes exactly that, the mythos and the reasoning behind it. For example, the Cyclops,
Yeah.
for example, the Cyclops was basically, the Laestrigones. Those were basically inspired by certain people in a certain region of Italy that the Greeks went to and just got absolutely massacred. And so from that, it built this this myth of like these man-eating monsters and shit, or
Oh wow.
or the sirens, that they create this like really mystical sound. It has turned out to be both the wind passing through the rocks in that area, creating this
Like a song?
this interesting song, as well as other things like maybe there's seals, there's this, like, and I basically I just went through all of the Odyssey, just combing through that, and it's fascinating to see how they translated, what's it called? Not how they translated, how the myths of ancient cultures and our understanding of like how they sprang up to be, how they explain certain phenomenon, like
Well, I mean, yeah, I see them as just trying to explain things. So I'm saying, without having science, there's no way that you can identify that kind of stuff. And plus, like, think about how little the world was explored by each culture. Now that we're like basically, you know, a global society, we can see everything and anything, and we have the technology to do so. But back then, like, what you saw was like your own pocket of the world, except for like extremely, you know, except for explorers who were like recorded in history for being the first to do so anyways. So imagine explaining like a penguin to a Greek back then, like, dude, like in this land of frost, and they'd be like, oh, by the god of frost, and like that must be his realm. This place is just devoid of life. There's this one little waddling thing,
penguin,
like a upright chicken.
bruh. Penguins are fucking hardcore.
The amount, I didn't realize how thick that coat is.
They
Like,
they
the feathers.
need
They're
like
insulated.
a thick fucking coat, because like even with that they constantly need to huddle together because it's just so fucking cruel out
It's
there.
just interesting how they never adapted to go down south or north, depending, I guess, where you are.
Also, do you know they have like some of like the worst skeletal structure? Their knees, they are at a constant wall sit formation.
So they technically always like
How like leaning against a wall like this.
yeah.
This is how their legs are all the time.
Ooh.
No.
How does that work for them?
They made it work by just like
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they waddle. But to be fair, like you have to remember that they're also a bird that spends a lot of time in the water, and in the water they're like torpedoes.
in the water they're all,
Yeah.
you know,
so it works for them.
I
don't
think
know, life is weird.
I think in Japanese the name for penguin, the kanji,
Is it like businessman?
is business goose.
Look it up.
And I like that. Wait.
They do
Penguin.
kind of look like they're wearing suits. If you could like responsibly own one exotic animal, what would it be? And you had like a connection with, like, you guys were homies.
I'd love like a really big, beautiful parrot that speaks.
Okay, I mean.
Oh, you mean
let's be
more-
realistic. Is a parrot like sentient or just it replicates your speech?
I'd go with a sentient parrot.
Okay, yeah, but that doesn't exist. I'm talking about like an animal you can own, like that actually exists.
I would probably then go either with like one of those monkeys, like those
Oh, like a
little monkeys,
capuchin?
or again, yeah, parrot. I've always wanted
I
a
mean,
parrot,
they're still dope.
but like I mean like some of those like Amazon, like those
Oh, like a macaw.
big, colorful parrots.
A customer at my restaurant had a parrot in her car, and it flew out of her car. And we are situated right next to a highway, and this beautiful like bird of paradise, like a tropical, like a full ass parrot, the kinds you see in movies, flew out of a car, disappeared, and they were offering like thousands of dollars to whoever found the parrot. And so they were like, "I'll give anyone $2,000 right now if you find this parrot." And they announced it to the restaurant. All my drivers, all my workers fled. Thank God it was on like a Tuesday.
We close.
Yeah. Everybody was like, all right, we have no orders coming in right now. We got time to search. And so everybody's looking around. Eventually, like, one of my drivers, Luis, he found the parrot and had situated itself in a tree. And eventually, they told the family, they gave him like a few $100, $400, whatever they had in their wallet, they gave to him. And like they were whistling at the parrot and got it to come down and come back to them.
Oh my god, that's
how valuable that bird was. At least to them. And I'm sure those birds aren't cheap either to take care of.
Oh yeah. But like,
The fact that they were traveling with it must mean a lot to them.
I've always just loved the idea of having not a pet. I want a companion. Like if I were to like bond with a parrot, I would want to bond with it like from the time it basically hatched. From the time it hatched until the time it dies, I would want to make a connection with this animal because they're so
Don't they live
cool.
a really long time?
They can live like quite a few years.
Birds have pretty long lifespans. Like cranes could live to be like tens of years old, like 40 years old, I think. They have like some crazy lifespan.
What's
Or
it
30
called?
years? It's something crazy you wouldn't expect for a bird. I would go with the Galapagos tortoise.
Just roll up. Taking your sweet time.
Think about like the most like chill pet to ever own. No maintenance whatsoever. You just leave a couple of leaves scattered around the house or wherever he lives. You give him enough space. I mean, maybe a little bit of water if he just wants to sunbathe, I suppose. And just let him do him.
I
You
love
could even,
turtles.
honestly, even imagine if he was just in your house, just took care of stuff.
We have turtles in Greece.
Yeah? How big do they get over them?
Like this one is not that big. It's like this big.
To be fair, Galapagos tortoise is
yeah.
like...
But his name is
the large
Hector,
tortoise.
and he's been there from before I was born. So he's been at our house, like in the surrounding areas of our house, for like 20 something years now. And I love it. Like I found him turn this one time. Like I saw him climb almost like a little step and flip, and I'm like, no, Hector, don't go through there. I flip him, and he goes right up there again and flips over again. I'm like, you stupid.
He was probably having fun, dude. Imagine how many times he has the opportunity just to do that, just flip around.
I mean, our house is very safe, like for him. Like the most dangerous thing that I've seen is like a really big
Wait, is he a
snake.
tortoise or a turtle?
Turtle. Tortoise is water?
No, tortoise is land, turtle is water.
Tortoise. It's a tortoise.
It's a tortoise, bro.
It's a tortoise. Yeah, no, I don't think it's an aquatic one. Yeah, because it's been.
My friends, their family have had the same turtle, I think for like 20 years. It's almost as old as I am. And they just had it in a tank, and it just chills. It's actually massive. I remember being terrified of it when I was a kid. Now I'm like, that's a pretty fucking big turtle to have in a home. But they're cool.
Ew.
I don't know. There's, like that whole archipelago, like the Galapagos archipelago, you have like the saltwater iguana,
It's such a.
which is like a 6 foot long.
Literally
or 7
looks
foot
like
long,
Godzilla.
yeah, it's got the giant spikes down the back. I think that's the modern Godzilla. That has to be the inspiration. For
They
it.
can stop their hearts for up to like 40 minutes.
Oh, and just
Because some predators of them, I think sharks, can like almost like sense like the
Don't sharks have like a organ that sends like electromagnetic pulses or like
something like
pulses
that, and like they can sense literally the beating of the heart, like its vibrations. And so these iguanas just say, all right, they literally pull a fucking Jotaro, like
They just pause their heart
your heart real quick for 40 fucking minutes, and then they're like, all right. It's kind of like those frogs that go into literally freeze, that every cell in their body freezes during the winter and they're effectively dead, and then they just thaw out and then they're fine. Life is fucking weird.
We should study that. So they have like a capacity for like cryogenesis.
Yeah, like some of these creatures can literally survive while basically being dead.
We should totally figure that out. And you know what we were doing? Like, I'm pretty sure DARPA is researching stuff like that. Like, the top scientists in the world, like, we see an animal do something like that. Like, how do we do that? Like, how's that possible? But then, like, the top scientists in the world see an animal do that, and they're like, how can we do that? Like, if they can do that, then we can be able to do that. So, like, they're researching, like, limb regeneration. So that, you know, how a gecko loses its tail and regrows its tail, they're like, we should be able to do that.
Dude, if
so
humans could fucking do that, and you're just like, shit, but you know it's gonna
imagine losing your arm, and then you're like, okay, just, you know, shoot me up with serum, and then it just it goes into a bud, and it just regrows.
Oh my god, dude, imagine you get injected with, like, C-Star genes, and you accidentally get, like, fucking bifurcated, and you become two people, because that's what happens sometimes with starfish. A decapitated limb can sometimes grow an entire body. So just imagine, like, the implications that would happen if some shit like that were to happen.
Sea stars aren't they just like a bundle of nerves? Like, they're not even like, I don't think there's any like brain capacity in a sea star.
I mean, Patrick Star,
also known for having like no brain capacity. The dark side of having something like limb regeneration and stuff like that happening would probably be like all like that illegal like organ transplant shit would just go away. Think about how many people try to stop that. If you could regrow anything, and it became accessible to the people, because if it was just considered like a high class treatment, then it would still persist. But being able to get treatment that just like regenerates anything, and then all those illegal trades, like black market, grind to a halt.
They gotta find a way to just mass produce organs. Like, because
they're trying to like clone pigs with human organs.
They're getting there with like stem cells and shit, and just like really like growing shit. But just imagine, instead of having to like pay an exorbitant amount for a kidney, they just have like a fucking whole catalog of kidneys for like different body types and shit, and just like, what?
Well, they're trying to do that right now, where they splice the DNA with animals so that they can regrow human organs, and then they harvest the organs from those animals. Like, you know, the South Park episode, how they...
Oh my god.
Because they were able to fuse like the grown ear on like the back of a mouse and something like that. I don't think it was a working ear, but it was, you know, progress. Instead, in South Park, they did it with just like the principal's dick. He grew on the back of the fucking mouse. That was a great episode. That's one of my favorite episodes. South Park never gets old.
The only thing that I kind of remember was that movie about the redheads. I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know if that rings a bell, but for some reason, I just have this one particular South Park image.
To be fair, there's over 1,000 episodes of South Park. It's some crazy amount.
Like, I think it's like the redheads, like, basically commit a fucking genocide or some shit.
Oh, the gingers have no souls. That's the episode.
Here we go. I just remember seeing this as a kid and just fucking having like fever dreams about this.
I do remember that. I think it was the episode when it was like gingers have no soul, and that was so funny. South Park's great. Did you ever watch the Jersey Shore episode where it was like the peak of Jersey Shore popularity, and South Park made an episode making fun of them? Like Snooki is like a deformed kangaroo type animal, and all those guys are they're just getting invaded by them. And then they get saved by Al Qaeda, and Al Qaeda's just crashing planes into the people from New Jersey.
Oh my
and
God.
And all the South Park characters like, yeah, let's go, it's Al Qaeda.
Have you seen Team America?
I was like, how did they come up with this? Team America, World Police, like.
Yeah.
No, I need to watch it.
Dude, it's one of the funniest parodies. Like, it starts off right off the bat, like, in Paris, these extremely, like, stereotypical jihad dress, like, terrorists just show up and just start, like, doing terrorist shit. And then you hear, like, America, and, like, this big fucking USA thing comes in, and the Americans come down, and they save the day, they defeat the terrorists, and in the meantime, they destroy, like, all of Paris. And you know the meme of, like, Patrick and SpongeBob being like, we did it, Patrick, we saved Bikini Bottom. They did exactly that in Paris. They're like, we did it. And, like, the city in the background is just burning. Like, it's such a funny parody. Is it a parody or is it satire of American culture?
It's a satire because that parody is.
Because like a parody is a bit more funny.
I think a parody is more direct, like directly replicating something.
Yeah.
So I think it's a satire. Because like a parody is like, imagine if someone like releases Harry Potter and then someone makes a video like playing like a Harry Potter skit making fun of it. It's a parody of Harry Potter.
You know what's one
I guess
of the,
it's also satire. Maybe
one of
satire
the best parodies is Robot Chicken Star Wars.
That is great. Robot Chicken was fucking great, and Family Guy did one after because they're both on Cartoon Network.
Dude, Family Guy Star Wars was peak Family Guy. Changed my mind.
Yeah, and Family Guy was like, we're just copying Robot Chicken. Was Family Guy originally a Cartoon Network show?
I think they've
Or did it start off on Fox? Because I know it's on Fox or one of them all the time now.
I don't know, because I remember seeing like
maybe they're just running reruns. Maybe Seth MacFarlane.
No, it's still going on.
No, I know, but I'm saying, what channel are they from? I don't know. I'm getting really specific.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I remember they directly referenced and they're like, we're just copying Robot Chicken. Robot Chicken was great. That was a mind melt though. When Adult Swim would come on and I was like 6 years old, and the first thing you see is like Robot Chicken, and you're like, what's going on?
Dude, Adult Swim just has. They should have a whole category of just like from midnight to this. It's just mind melt time.
Space Ghost Coast to Coast was like a talk show hosted by like a cartoon space ghost. Harvey Birdman, attorney at law, is like a superhero running.
Was Xavier Renegade Angel in Adult Swim? I think it might have been.
That sounds really familiar. Dude, there's so many.
Dude, Xavier Renegade Angel.
Venture Bros.
I just want to show you just one fucking clip. Basically, it's just this extremely just absurdist.
Oh yeah, that's
existentialist shit, and this is just one of my favorite clips of it.
Oh wait, isn't this like the ads they used to run, or is this an episode?
This is an episode.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you believe in God? That's a complicated question. It depends on what you mean by God. You see, yes or no. It helps no one to be reductive. I believe that we are here implies to some degree that there are forces larger than us. Now we can get into the semanticality. Yes or no. The very notion of belief itself can be rhetorically whittled to the bare nub of its meaning. I'd like to talk to you a lot more about this. Would you be interested in reading some of my literature? Oh!
Yeah, dude. I don't know. So what's the name of that show? That's fucking ridiculous.
This is Xavier Renegade Angel, and
is there supposed to be any meaning to what he just said, or is it just supposed to be just straight absurdism? Like,
here's the thing. There have been a few people that made analyses of the show,
and those are a few people with too much fucking time on their hands.
Absolutely, but basically what the show is, it's just an amalgamation of ideologies presented in an absurdist and surreal light. The main protagonist, Xavier, is in of himself a parody of like neo-age like spiritualism guru, like that kind of shit. Like there's
just
people
talks in like super abstract cultural terms and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
and like he thinks he's going around the lands like
preaching,
helping people and shit. But most of the time he just causes just misery and chaos wherever he goes. And it plays into the idea of like, you know, like ideologies aren't necessarily a good fucking thing, especially if you try and push them onto people that have like other ideologies of themselves. Like, and yeah, like I can definitely like show you some videos that talk a bit more into it, because it's actually very interesting.
I don't think I want to understand this.
But it's like, it's in terms of like a mind melt, like.
Did you ever watch Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
No.
Oh man, Meatball, Frylock, Shake, I think his name was. I think Carl.
Wait, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, you know if you see him.
Aqua
Teen Hunger Force. 4 words.
This?
Yeah, dude.
What the fuck? Oh wait, you know, I've seen this dude.
Yeah.
I've seen this dude.
I think it's Shake is his name.
That's a
Meatball. Dude,
Jesus fucking
it was
Christ.
so brutal. And, like, some episodes, Carl dies like miserably at the end. He's like the guy whose like house they bum on.
Oh my god.
And, dude, it makes no sense. And like watching it, like they die horribly at the end of the show. Like his head gets like bitten off by like a spider. He gets like hit with a chainsaw. Episode cuts, and the next episode loads up, and they're just chilling in the living room again. I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
I love those.
I mean,
what's it called?
There's nothing crazier than Adult Swim. I don't think you'll ever see anything as absurd as. It's its own great thing. It's like if you told people like, yeah, I watch animation. Like animation can mean anything. So, and that's how broad it can be. I mean, it's like those cartoons are unbelievable. I just want to know what those people at Adult Swim take, because that's not a sober creation.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, like, oh, I don't know. Like, I think there needs to be a fine balance of inspiration that some of these people can take, while also having to keep like enough lucidity to create like some coherent thing out of it. Because like, for example, like I just said, like Xavier, absolute mind melt. Most of the time it's just absurd piece of shit. But there is like there are deeper meanings in there that are meta about like this in and of itself. And I'm like, to be able to pull that off, you can't just be dumbing yourself down and just...
Are you giving it too much credit, or do you think it was genuinely made like that?
I genuinely think it was made like that, because it has each episode has a focus on different ideologies and how they interact. And while they are undoubtedly absurd and ridiculous for the most part, they do offer interesting commentary on these very things. And I don't know, I can definitely find some like more concrete examples within the show, but like it's been a while, and like it's so foggy in my mind because of just how fucking weird it is most of the time. But yeah, but like, I can definitely show you like some short videos about it later. But yeah, like just shows that are to that degree just like mind melting, I fucking love. Even something like Dorohedoro, right?
Yeah.
Like the art in and of itself is like a mind melt, but the world of Dorohedoro itself is also a fucking mind melt with just
I don't know. That's what Dorohedoro is just such a crazy story. Can you give like a little summary for people?
Dorohedoro is I fucking can't. It's one of my favorite shows, and words like to describe it. Basically, it's a world.
Like if you were to summarize like the overarching plot in like 3 sentences.
It's 2 worlds: the sorcerer world, the hole where humans live, and it's just such a fucking mess to try and explain.
It just follows the story of Cayman.
It follows the story of Cayman.
It's
Either
Kaimon, but like his name is Cayman after
Came
like
in
the
in
reptile.
English, yeah. After the kid, yeah, because he has a reptile head. He has like
Yeah, he was a human that had his head turned into a reptile. And he's like figuring out how to get his human appearance back, and he hunts sorcerers that go into the human world only exclusively to experiment on them with magic, and that's all they do. So it's literally just humans just get bullied, and it's a grimy world, and like everything's ugly and like messy, and then the manga art fits it perfectly.
yeah, like the very very first panel that the show opens up on is just Kaiman just ripping into this dude's head.
I know.
And I'm
Isn't
like-
it a shame that it doesn't look nearly as good as in the manga, like the animated version? I wish I put more detail into that opening.
What they did well into the anime was the world building and the 2D panning of the world. In that regard, they really nailed like the grittiness, the griminess of it all, as well as the music. I think they really popped off with the music. But I will say that a lot of these moments that landed a lot stronger in the manga, like this very first introduction, did feel a bit slowed down due to the CGI that was used and everything. Which
Yeah.
wasn't even that bad. It just made certain action scenes and movements a bit like
Clunky. Well, I mean,
clunky?
CGI, at least in regards to like a traditional anime budget, it's still tough. I think it's like it's moved a lot into like inanimate objects and stuff like that, stuff with sharp corners that doesn't really need like a fluid animation thing, and it looks pretty good. And it's used a lot of times to enhance scenes, like all those like famous fights that like Ufotable does, or Ufotable. How do you pronounce that?
however you want.
Ufotable is how it's spelled. I don't know if it's Ufotable, Ufotable, whatever. Fucking crucify me. Anyways, all like those fights they do like 2D animation overlaid with like CG and everything like that, and those are dope. But the problem with CG is that I just think in anime it still hasn't gotten to the point yet where it's indistinguishable from 2D animation.
You know-
have you ever seen like a regular anime and then it has just garish CG comes in for no reason, just for like budget, and it
Golden
looks
Conway.
awful.
Have you seen
Oh,
it?
the bear scene.
The bear scene is.
I read the manga, and the bear scene. Once I heard about that, it turned me off.
Yeah, like I decided to read it instead because of it.
Oh, really? It
Yeah.
was that bad.
It's
I heard it was like a brown blur with like 2 black dots for eyes.
basically like it shouldn't be that
I saw like a clip of it. and I
like
was
that
I'm
bad,
pretty
but
good.
I'm like,
I read the manga before it got adapted, and the manga is like an award-winning manga. It's a great story.
it's fucking
told in
crazy.
northern Hokkaido, which is a region in Japan a lot of people don't know about, which is actually like a frozen like tundra because it's a part close to Russia, and you follow the main character is a veteran from the Sino-Russo War, and like the time period is so cool. It follows the story that Ainu is told, which I didn't know about them until I read a manga about them, and that's the indigenous people of northern Japan who were like suffered a lot at the hands of the government of like Japan as we know it, which was like it's like so Japan it was actually like kind of similar to like U.S. history with like the U.S. government interacting with the native people,
Classic.
right? Which is a story I don't think a lot of people ever knew about Japan.
Or
And
the
so,
British and the Aborigines. Like
I mean, think
it happens all the
about
time.
anything, yeah. But it's kind of interesting just because Japan is one country, or has been like steeped in society for so long that those people held on to that way of life for as long as they did. But that's such a great story. But there's a anime based off a series. I think it was a series of light novels called Roka of the Six Flowers. I think, and the first season is a murder mystery, and it was one of the few anime that I watched of the kind. And it's really interesting because it's almost entirely just discussion taking place and within a room, and people are just throwing conjecture at like a who did it. And the writing's great, but there's one episode where this dragon comes out. Yeah, look up Roka the Six Flowers CG dragon.
Oh no. I might know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's an episode of the CG dragon who's supposed to be like a devil, like super evil monster comes out, and it's god awful. It looks so ugly, it detracts from the entire series. It was so bad.
Is it like a recurring? Wow, on Yahoo.
Why are you on Yahoo?
I don't know. My computer just doesn't want to search shit. Why does it not show up?
Oh well, we'll find it.
I'll find it later. I'll definitely
I gotta
put
show
some
you, bro.
some
It's
kind of
so
visual.
bad.
Like in like we mentioned
It detracts
before.
from the whole season. Like,
We mentioned it
detracts from the whole
before as
episode.
well. How bad CG, like in Berserk, like when
I just can't believe that you can do CG right. Studio Mappa's whole thing is CG. Like they do great CG anime.
the what's it called? The first 3 JoJo openings
Are all CG.
that are all CG. I would unironically watch something with that design, with that art style, if they kept like the consistent quality of it.
I mean, it
because
looks
the
great.
movement is smooth as shit.
Yeah, especially season 3 was really dope.
Dude, they brought CG back for Stone Ocean opening.
I did see that. So were the other ones in between 2D, like regular,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
non-CG type?
Part 4 and 5 were, yeah, just 2D.
Okay.
Just 2D.
I saw Stone Ocean had a CG, so I didn't know that they. Okay, I thought that was just consistent theme with their openings. They didn't do it for seasons.
They did it for
Okay.
season 1, 2, 3, not for 4,
Not for 4, 5, or 6.
5. But now they're doing it for 6.
Okay, 7 Steel Ball Run, right? Is that Peak JoJo's from your opinion?
That is when JoJo's went from one of my favorite manga of all time to one of my favorite works of art of all time.
Really?
Like, it reaches a point where just an average panel can be hung up and framed as pristine art, in my opinion. Like,
Wow.
and like I've heard people literally say that JoJo's art style in the manga is ugly, and that is getting into the fucking like, oh, like what do you value as like beautiful art?
Yeah.
But in terms of just the sheer artistry
Detail,
of the
yeah.
human anatomy of the human body,
Well, like if you
poses and all
can't appreciate like a creation, maybe it's not your taste, but you're like a lot of effort and style went into this, and a lot of like obviously there's a lot of intricacy at hand. It's just not for me. Like that's a valid thing you can say,
Yeah.
and people are like, okay, Araki's art style's not for you, but you can't say it's not like, I don't know, at least for me, because I know I can appreciate it. But if you can't appreciate it, then I have a hard time agreeing with you.
yeah, like what's it called? Like
I haven't read
we
Steel
talked
Ball
we
Run
talked
yet, but-
about how parts 1, 2, 3 are just these big Herculean, just big muscle buff dudes just beating the shit out of each other, right?
Yeah.
And how from part 4 it directly transitions into these smaller but still like incredibly drawn physiques and everything. But
Yeah, they definitely take on like a more like slim fit approach. Because in part 3, even like the old guys were all just jacked. Everybody was Billy Arnold. It was actually pretty funny.
but like
Even the kids were jacked.
this shit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's just a page where not much even happens. Right? It's not even like that much of an emotionally impacting
Is that
scene.
colored like because it's like a special scene, or is
No,
it just colored?
this is part of the JoJo's colored adventure teams,
Oh,
which
so it's just like the fans,
which I
of it.
love. Yeah, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure does not look at that. Like
Yeah.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure does not have canonical colors in the sense that Araki has straight up stated that he doesn't think of his characters as a fully baked color palette. Rather,
Just in shades.
it's their emotions and the situation that convey the color. For example, a brilliant example is in part 3, first episode, Jotaro versus Kakyoin.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Jotaro wearing blue, purple, like his colors being blue, dark purple.
Yeah, his
that-
hat, which blends into his hair.
Yeah, and Kakyoin being green,
Green.
and all that. And in that scene, when
Was
this
it Star Platinum and Emerald Green?
yeah, and Hierophant Green.
Oh.
Yeah, and they would
Oh,
start
Emerald
talking.
Splash is the attack.
Emerald Splash is the attack. No one can just affect the Emerald Splash. But yeah, but
Yeah, well, that was the first season for Stans.
and then they started talking about morality, what is justice, and like constantly like subverting it, and the colors change, and all of a sudden Jotaro is like drawn in this green hue when Kakyoin is drawn in this purplish hue. So it's like directly inverting their color designs because it shows like a confrontation of ideals and everything. And that, for example, you don't see in the black and white manga because there's just no color. But when they adapt it, and when Araki says, all right, like, fuck around with the colors because guess what? The scene has changed. The emotions are changing. Like, when it goes from, like, a normal scene into, like, an all of a sudden, like, what the fuck is going on? They usually have a stark change in color palette or texture. And that's something that, like, I just fucking love. Like, when they really play with the medium, with the colors and everything. It's so special to me. I love the show so much.
Nah, I mean, JoJo's was cool. I think I do have to pick it back up and give it another shot. At least at part 4, because I remember at part 3 ends. Maybe watch like the last 8 episodes of part 3, because I kind of forget how like the whole confrontation with Dio ends canonically with Kakui and Polnareff, everybody. I was pretty deep into part 4. I was like about 14 or 15, but part 4 is like what, 48 episodes?
It's around there, like 30 something.
It's like 2 quarters, I think. Yeah. But it's good. I just have to give it another shot. Sometimes I just like toast out. Like, keeping up with JoJo's was a lot though, because I tracked it for like 3 seasons airing.
Yeah, okay. Like, also once you get to Stardust Crusaders, which is a very episodic monster,
it's like monster
of the week.
Yeah, for like 60 episodes.
If you have to wait every Friday to watch that, then
which was how my time went. Yeah.
Then it can easily get like, all right, I'm gonna take a break from this. Like in my case, I literally binged all of part 1 and 2 in one day with my friend. That is almost 20 episodes in one day.
That's intense. That's not too bad. Wait, you did what, 20 episodes in a day?
Yeah.
Alright, that's not too bad.
That's not bad. But
No.
then we watched the entirety of part 1 of Stardust Crusaders also.
Oh, okay. That's like 30 episodes.
So then it's that. And then we're like, all right, now we need a break. And next time we're going to watch all of part 2. All of part 2 of Stardust Crusaders. I don't know, like...
That was a great... I like Stardust Crusaders a lot. The fact that they got Walk Like an Egyptian for the song was great.
Man.
JoJo's just has style, honestly. I think that's why it stuck, is that people that liked it really fucking like it. Because it's its own style. It's like you're either with it or you're gonna... or it might be too garish for you. But JoJo's is its own thing. I don't know how else to describe it. It's one of the few things that it's unique unto itself. I mean, like, Berserk is Berserk. It's pretty hard to compare Berserk to a lot of other manga.
I forget sometimes how much manga I read in the moment. Like that one gambling manga that I told you, Usogui.
What's the name of it?
Usogui, like Lie Eater.
Okay.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
Is it a manga or is it a manhwa?
It's a manga.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I just picked it up and I'm like, this is kind of cool. Like it's
how is it full chapters?
It's like 500 chapters right now.
Like 18-page chapters, like full blown, or is it like a short?
No, like good, decently sized, and
really?
It's very well paced. It has real life gambling rules, while also imbuing with a lot of
animated, like manga storytelling,
mystery and shit like that, and it has some really great fight scenes actually.
Okay, so it's supposed to be like a thriller type thing.
Yeah, it's very much like a thriller thing. It's yeah, and like, I've just picked it up. I'm like, this is kind of cool. This is kind of really cool. And then I see it's 2:00 in the morning, and I'm on chapter like 100 something, and I'm like, I need to rest my eyes.
Yeah, that was me in Tower of God. Tower of God, when I first picked it up, well, it single-handedly ruined my sleep schedule for like a week until I finished it. Maybe even 2 weeks. Dude, because I mean, my younger brother torched his way through it, but he also would read like Skip, read like at full swaths. I'm like, alright man, like you're not enjoying anything. And so I took my time a little bit longer, but single-handedly, like, I'd be up, like I saw the sun was starting to come up, I'm like, fuck. I was like, I gotta go to sleep. I was getting like no sleep at work, and then I was just trying to work from home. Oh, it was so bad.
I was during quarantine when I couldn't sleep. I would just read manga until the sun came up,
and your body was just like, I need to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to let yourself physically deactivate.
Oh my god. Dude,
I just can't do the phone. That's the thing I have to do is I really put the phone down because sometimes my eyes are just like, please stop.
I need to read more on my laptop rather than on my phone.
The problem is once your phone screen got big enough, I only used to read exclusively on my laptop. Like my laptop was where I read my manga. I almost never read on my phone. And then once I got a larger phone, like the iPhone, I don't even know, whatever, X or 11, whatever's out. Once it got large enough that I could actually have like a manga on there, maybe with a little zoom and like a couple of diagonal swipes, I get the full page and that's fine. And I can appreciate the art. That was all I needed. And I stopped using my laptop almost entirely. Because my laptop is basically a repository for manga and occasionally anime. Because anime, I don't think you should really watch on your phone. I think it's so whack. You don't get the full experience.
The only way that I can enjoy anime on my phone is if I'm also wearing headphones.
Yeah.
Because at the very least, if you can zone in and really focus on the sound, even if it's on a small screen, like it can still be enjoyed up to a certain extent. But if you're literally watching it from like your phone and your phone speakers, like then it's like, why? Just put it on a laptop or just like
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's up to how people are comfortable consuming content. Like I'm okay with just putting my phone on YouTube and just listening to certain things, for example, but not if I want to watch an animation. Then I want to like notice the details and shit.
Yeah. Listen, if you're watching like an anime that has a crazy art style, has all this hyper detail in it, you're doing yourself a disservice by taking it on your phone because everything's just shrunk to this little screen.
Like, why watch Redline on your phone?
Yeah, it just probably looks like a bunch of blurs flying. You know, it's not made for a phone. Just like how all those movie directors were livid when the movies were getting released at home. They were just like, this is made for the silver screen. This is made to be played in a theater with the theater sound, everything. This is not an HBO Max movie. That also fucked over a lot of people. I hope Scarlett Johansson wins that lawsuit, by the way.
For Black Widow?
Yeah.
What a garbage movie.
Well, I didn't watch the movie, and I heard it sucked. Which sucks for her, because her character was cool.
Here's the funniest thing about that whole spiel, right?
But it was in their contract to have a theatrical release, and they released it on Disney Plus
because it was
simultaneously
so bad.
with the theatrical release.
It was so bad that they were like, "All right, like we're not gonna make that much money."
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure she got points on the movie, like a percentage. So like of the theatrical release, like imagine like her contract was probably negotiated for like part of the theatrical release payout. And Disney releasing on Disney Plus so they get more subscribers, like directly possibly ate into her paycheck and violated her contract. If that was the case, she deserves to win. And fuck Disney for doing that. That sucks.
Yeah, dude, fuck Disney in general. Like the I mentioned it the thing yesterday in the recording, or if I did, I'm gonna mention it now. There's a part in part 6 of JoJo's called the Bohemian Rhapsody arc, where without too many spoilers, there's a power that brings to life art. It brings to life fictional characters. It brings to life like Spider-Man. It brings to life Mickey Mouse, and that's the thing.
Oh really? Oh, all these like copyrighted characters come out?
It exclusively mentions so many of Disney's characters, including the iconic line, "Where the fuck is Mickey? This shit ain't Disney without Mickey." You know? But in one of the early episodes of this Part 6 release, instead of saying Mickey Mouse birthday was in this, it said Bugs Bunny birthday was here. So Disney yet again gets in the way.
Oh, dude, they don't let anyone fuck around with Disney IP. Disney IP is like untouchable. The amount of money you have to pay out to Disney to be able to use their IP in any shape or form is probably unreal.
It's disgusting. Like, I just, like...
Yeah, but that's their asset. You have to think about it their way. Like, would you like someone experimenting with your IP and something that is, like, integral to your brand at whatever whim that you want to? Like, I wouldn't, personally.
I will revert that and say that Disney is doing that already. I mean, they can fuck up their own shit. That's the thing though. They fuck up their own shit after they bought it off of someone else.
I'm aware.
So
that's like their right to do with something that they own technically. You know what I mean? That's the difference. I mean, it even happened in Osomatsu-san or Mr. Osomatsu. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's an old anime about all these brothers. There was like 8 brothers, I think, or something. And then it got remade again, and there was a 2018, 2017 episode comedy. It had like 2 or 3 seasons, really popular actually. But the first episode was a parody of like 10 or 15 years worth of anime. They like parodied Attack on Titan, a bunch of other ones, and even copyright in Japan made them have to redo the episode. So there's like the original episode 1, and then there's like a redone episode 1 of Osomatsu-san. And I watched like a few episodes because it's pretty funny, but I kind of just fell off with it. I don't know. Keeping up, but those shows are hard to keep up with weekly. I have a hard time with them.
I like
They're so
to
peripheral.
binge shit. I like to binge shit. Like I enjoy waiting for things, but
It has to be really good for me to stay on.
Yeah, like for me to actively wait for the next episode, like, yeah.
The last one I can remember watching weekly and like really enjoying it. Did you ever watch Made in Abyss?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
And it's not that long too, right? Like
it's either 12 or 24 episodes.
like first season,
yeah,
and then
it's
like
either,
it never really continued from
yeah,
there.
I think it's only 12 because it's pretty short. But that was intense. It starts off as like this idyllic little girl, and she's like, "Oh my god, like I'm just here. You know, the hole is where we go in to pull out treasures, and each way you go down is whatever." And like my mom was an explorer, but now I'm an only kid, so now it's my turn. I'm finally old enough to go down.
And you're like, ooh, adventure time.
Yeah, and she
bring
meets
all
this
your
boy.
friends.
Yeah, and she meets this boy that has like unknown origins, and she's like, "Oh, what's going on?" They adventure together, and you're like, "Okay," and like, "Okay, maybe it's a little unsettling, but it's not that bad."
And then, oh god, no, please no.
And it just goes so fucking south. It goes so south so quick, and it's still like these childish character arts, and just growth like horrific things happening around them, and you realize it's no longer just like, oh, if you go down, it's like more pressure and harder to breathe. It's like, no, each floor that you go down to is its own fucking curse upon your body and your soul. Where it's like one is like you will not sleep fine, or like you get these crazy diseases and stuff like that. You morph.
These monsters.
Yeah, that's a great anime for anyone that hasn't watched it. I'm a big fan of that one. I think it got a movie. I remember when it first aired.
Yeah.
That one I watched weekly, but I think it got a movie or maybe a continuation because the manga's still going.
I just want to see some anime adaptations of mangas that just have not gotten adapted yet. Like,
Well, I mean, yeah, I'd rather not have just remakes of everything either. But it's also cool when you get like an anime original.
if they're good, which is unfortunate because not many studios are trying that anymore. But like anime originals sometimes are just fucking.
Well, I mean, like
smack.
Neon Genesis is one of the most famous anime original. Wasn't Gurren Lagann was also an anime? I mean, leave it to Gainax to just come up with their own shit, right?
I believe Gurren Lagann might actually have had a manga.
I thought Gurren Lagann.
But just because the
No, I think
animation
the
is so incredible, it's
Look it
just
up.
been completely
I'm almost
ignored.
100% sure Gurren Lagann's manga came after Gurren Lagann. I was furious typing. Just look up the inception dates.
Oh yeah, Gurren Lagann.
But
Manga.
maybe it's just like a signature to the studio. Because Gainax also made movies like Wings of Honey Maze, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, was
Follow the
made-
same plot line as the anime, so it was adapted. It was adapted afterwards. Because 2007, I think Gurren Lagann came out earlier. Check it out. Because I want to be right on this, because I really like Gurren Lagann.
No, 2008.
Oh, did I fuck up?
So yeah, a year after the manga.
Fuck.
But that's what I'm telling you. Like the anime did such a tremendous job.
Fuck.
How dare you? How dare you be wrong on this podcast?
I can't believe, dude. You know how much I like this show? I'm so mad I'm wrong on that.
Right?
Really?
Raw.
I could have sworn that was its own thing. Well, I know Neon Genesis is definitely its own thing because Hideaki Anno was the guy he was the mastermind Neon Genesis. That wasn't something else. I know I'm not right on that one. 100%. I'd be really fucking pissed if I was wrong. Was Kill la Kill anime original?
Let's look it up.
That's another one.
Is kill.
So that's Studio Trigger, which was mainly staff from Gainax after Gainax went bankrupt and dissolved. Then they formed Trigger. Trigger had some good anime. The funniest thing with Trigger is that it started off with Inferno Cop, which is basically just like shorts of absurdist humor that was memed all throughout like the anime community, and then they followed it up with fucking Kill la Kill.
Yeah, no, this is anime original.
Okay, good. I have that. Damn,
Redemption.
dude, Gurren Lagann hurt. I'm really bad. I'm wrong on that.
No, but
I was
like, I
confident.
didn't know that either until like someone pointed it out to me.
I was confident on that one. I didn't know. I never knew they had a manga on that one.
I think that Cowboy Bebop might actually have had a manga as well, but it might have come
I'm
before
pretty sure.
or after.
I'm pretty sure Watanabe, that was his. Because Watanabe did that. He did Samurai Champloo.
Oh, okay, yeah, no. The two Cowboy Bebop manga series were adapted from the television show.
Yeah, because
Yeah, okay.
Watanabe was also Samurai Champloo, right? He didn't do Afro Samurai.
No, I don't think Afro
No.
Samurai.
He did Samurai
Yeah.
Champloo, and then he did Did you ever watch Terran Resonance? Zankyo no Terra, I think is how you pronounce it.
That I can count in one finger my issues with that anime, and that is just the horrible Japanese English done by that one character for
The
like
blonde,
one
that
episode.
Afro chick.
Yes, that was the only thing that was wrong with the entire
Why
thing.
have her like, dude? You can easily hire a voice actor.
Just hire an English voice
That was
actor.
so bad, and the problem was that she had like whole monologues.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna.
Oh no, this got flamed. Cause I remember this was coming out weekly. Because Anime News Network, they follow a couple of series as they air weekly that are really popular or that they think deserve it. They have like the fans vote on their website in a big poll, say which ones do you want us to follow, and weekly writers will follow it. It's so bad.
Put it on to users active in just 15 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Check Brazil airport personnel list.
Just a moment.
Move. My apologies.
Like,
No, it's bad.
this is like
It was just unnecessary. Just pay out a voice actor to do it in English, like a girl. To just I'm sure you can find a Japanese woman that speaks fluent English
easy.
and voices.
And like, here's the
How
thing.
hard is that?
I understand them wanting to like keep the same voice, so it doesn't sound
Well,
like a
that's-
different person is speaking.
It was also probably just like the voice actors had it.
But
in their
that's what
contract.
voice actors are supposed to do. They're supposed to be able to change their voice to fit what is required of them. And if this is all that was required of this actress to do that, I'm like, I'm sorry. They could have done
That's like me trying to speak
effort.
Greek, bro. Imagine
like-
I'm trying to do a Greek voiceover and it's me reading it the first time, so I'm just reading out lines. She's not even inflecting anything. It sounds like she's reading English,
English. Have you seen?
which is not like her fault. That's not her skill set. She's a Japanese voice actress. You can also find a Japanese voice actress that speaks English. But yeah, that took away from it a lot.
Have you
But
seen
Terran Resonance
this?
was cool.
No, wait, yeah. There's like just this one manga. There's one manga. There's one anime that has legitimately good like English. Here we go.
What's up, boy? You falling in love with the mirror? Huh? Don't worry about the failure of love. It won't fail you if you're courageous. But you can't always be lucky. So, good luck.
Like, I'm pretty sure this was still a Japanese
Yeah, I mean,
actor.
the fact that it's still subbed and everything.
But
That
it's-
was a Japanese guy?
Like, I'm pretty sure because a few things at the end of the words give it away.
Oh, like the inflection?
Like a tiny bit. But again, it was done so well that it's barely noticeable. And that
Yeah.
is like a good example of that.
Well,
But yeah, like that
It
was
fits.
just my rant about the Terran
Well-
Resonance English.
I know, that was brutal. That was brutal.
so-
It got memed so hard. I remember the reaction when it first happened because it wasn't good. There was also it was the Attack on Titan knockoff, the one with the train, Kabaneri the Iron Fortress.
Oh my god.
It's actually a fun anime, but there was that one guy that just spoke in like American catchphrases. So it'd be like, "How's the train going?" And he'd just be like, "Fantastic!" And then everyone's speaking Japanese. It was so weird. But me and my cousin used to die at that because it was so glary. It made no sense. That's why certain shows, when they have like an American insert character, well, obviously because like anime is a Japanese thing for Japanese people, it's only recently that anime is becoming a globally consumed thing worldwide and like pretty popular. Again, I mean, it popped in like, the 2000s, early 2000s with like Dragon Ball Z, K-On!, all those bubbles. And then after 2008 happened, all those Japanese distributing companies, or American distributing companies for Japanese media went like completely bankrupt. And then like, they kind of cut the flow and now it's back going because it's profitable again. But, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, Black Lagoon. It was an anime adapted from a manga, which takes place in like basically like a modern day pirates cove, but it's just like a black market criminals cove, and only one character is Japanese. Everybody else is like Vietnam veteran that like defected to this area, Russian gangsters, and they all interact using English. And I think it was Blue Water was the name of the company that adapted. It's a Canadian dubbing company, and their voice dub, the English dub is so good on Black Lagoon.
Point.
I don't watch that one in Japanese. That one I actually watch in dub every time because it fits so well.
Like we mentioned it before, how like a good English dub can inoculate even the most skeptical like Western viewer into anime.
Yeah, or
Because
even
for a lot
like the
of them,
most
it's
skeptical
the language barrier.
sub-viewer.
Yeah, that is true.
Like I hate. Sorry. Now that there's like simul dubbing and there's actually some good dubs, I can get behind them. But for me, I usually almost entirely watch it in sub.
Same.
There's very few anime I've watched dub. Black Lagoon being one of them because it's a great dub.
Like I think I mentioned before, like in Japan, they're not a very societally expressive people. They if you go around and you're very loud or you're very expressive, people look at you like you're fucking bonkers.
Yeah, because
But for these voice actors, when they're put in front of their microphone and they're just allowed to just go fucking ham, they're celebrated for it. So for them, it's like
some of the performances they give are wild. Like
it's
those
an outlet
screams.
for so much emotionality that they might not be able to present on a daily basis. Meanwhile, in America, for example, which is a lot less like that, like a lot of the English dubs for most average anime just fall very flat. Except when they're done with passion, like Black Lagoon, Cowboy Bebop. Like those that actually imbue them with the character, with their own
It's also
inflections.
just a different type of story. Think about the difference between like the voice acting requirements for something like Dragon Ball Z with all its screaming, and then you have like Black Lagoon, which is like usually like pretty chill. Like the characters just usually like shoot one-liners at each other, and then it's like a gunfight, and then you hear like them yelling, which is good. I mean, Dragon Ball Z's English dub was great too, though, in its own right.
The Dragon Ball
The amount of
Z
times
are pretty fucking
me,
good.
dude, I remember when it used to air on Cartoon Network all the time, and people would be at the playground trying to do like the Kamehameha. Was fucking so fun. That was peak. That was so fun to watch when it was just a Frieza arc at the beginning, and that's how dope it was when he first goes Super Saiyan. Everyone just losing their minds.
Speaking of Dragon Ball, next episode of Galaxy Express.
Yeah,
We don't know what we're gonna talk about yet.
No.
Stay tuned.
definitely don't.